As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Greetings on this beautiful Thursday morning. You are on the Inside Show with none other than Let's Talk with Joan. And yeah, today is that day where we're actually going to have an excellent conversation. So, well, I'm so excited, man. And I have exciting people in the studio here with me this morning. So yeah, I want you to enjoy and I want you to participate. And remember, if you did not subscribe to this Inside Show as yet, come on, why do you delay? Just hit that subscription button and you will see everything that's happening on the Inside Show. So we are actually going to ask our guests just to introduce themselves, right? Just give their names and where they're from and things like that, because I'm so excited because I have my hubby with me here this morning. So I'm a full person here today. Yeah, so that is the excitement for me. The very first time that I have my lover, my good friend, on this show with me. And I know you guys are going to learn so much from the show. So please, in the comments, if you want to know anything regarding ministry, we are talking on the topic, the highs and lows in ministry. That is why we have beautiful people here in the house, right? So without further ado, I'm going to ask our guest if you can just, we're going to start with the male. Just to introduce yourself, your name, and so on and so on.
Thank you so much, Pastor Joni, and good morning to everybody. Good morning to Doc and to Pastor Lee. Thank you so much for having us on the show. My name is Leon James, and I'm the pastor of Royal Kingdom Ministries. And I'm just so happy to be here and to be part of this conversation today. And I just know there's stuff that I'm going to learn today. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, greetings from my side as well. My name is Carl Hendricks. I'm the senior pastor of Crystal Church for the last 30 years.
Wow. Yay.
It's a lifetime. It feels like forever. I'm married to the lovely Joan Hendricks.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful marriage life. I think it's 37 years.
Yes.
37 good years. I'm always out with a year or so, but it doesn't matter. 37 is good.
37 years, yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, I'm Sherry James and it's such an honor to be here. Thanks for having us, Pastor Lee, Pastor Joni. Doc, it's always such an honor to be in your presence as well, and obviously with my baby, my big baby now.
Yes,
my
yes,
big 50-year-old
yes.
baby.
Wow,
so looking
that is so
forward
nice.
to, like Mabi said, looking forward to learning as well, as much as we'll be chatting, but looking forward to learning a lot about ministry as well. And
awesome. And my co-host.
Hey guys, hello Insights family. Yes, we are all stoked today on the Thursday show, Talk with Joan, to have a little bit of male or little testosterone on the show today. The atmosphere feels a bit different. I don't know how you're feeling there, Pastor Joan, but it's good and it's exciting. So thank you for being with us today. We are excited, and we actually came to learn from you guys. So, so we're excited that you guys have a lifetime or a couple of years of insights and ministry to share. So we're ready to go. Good to go.
Yes, thank you so much. So, you know, when you are on the Inside Show with Talk with Joan, you know how we do it, right? The mirror speaks volumes when you look into the mirror, and sometimes I know when you are down and out, and especially when the day is gloomy and things are not working out for you, then you don't want to look into the mirror. But I want to ask you, please get that mirror out. When you at your, if you are, I know the ladies always carry a mirror in their purses, so just take that mirror out, because you're going to speak to that mirror today, right? You're going to look into that mirror, and that person looking back at you, there's beautiful things that is locked up inside of that person, and that person can have the liberty today to actually speak to the person looking back at you, right? So I want you to take out your mirror. If you're at your workplace, take out that mirror just for a second, and you're going to speak to that mirror. So I just want you, I'm going to ask my guests here today, I'm going to ask them, the question to all of us is, right? The person looking back at you, what is that person saying to the world today? Okay? What is the person looking back at you saying to the world today? So come on now. You go, whoever. I'm not going to actually say who's going to start off. But if you're ready.
All right.
Pastor Leon's
You're
ready.
putting me
Pastor
on the
Leon's
spot here
ready.
now. All right, I must just say I waited very long for this moment. After watching this show every Thursday, I couldn't wait to also have a Yeah, so when a person looks back at me, I think wants to say to the world out there, let love lead every action, every reaction, and allow love to lead every decision and every opinion that you have about people and things.
Awesome, wonderful. Love covers a multitude of sin. I can feel the love in the studio.
That must be one of our best ones, man. I like that.
Awesome.
Doc, are you great?
No, you go.
Gosh, I think I don't know. I still see myself as a little girl, and I think what she wants to say to the world is that I am a woman of faith. Faith takes practice, and you have to keep going. Don't stop growing. Don't stop learning, and yeah, I think that's what she's saying to the world today.
Okay, awesome.
Well, you know, I hate this session of my wife. I don't know. I'm not like Pastor James that was looking forward to it. I don't. Well, when I look in the mirror today, I see there's two sides to the mirror. There's a veneer side, undercurrent side, a personal side, a deep side, a side that sometimes I don't want to face, a reality side, and but then there is a faith side. So this morning I will stand on behalf of how I should be: confident, focused, a man with clarity, insight, wisdom, and direction. Amen. And I would love to speak to myself and say, well, you can make it, and when you make it, you will make it strong.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So
Amen.
that's what I'm telling me. Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Pastor Joan, I'm loving the mirror conversation today.
Very
I
nice.
mean, usually I just want to like check my
agree.
lipstick, but today I'm peering into my soul. So if I look at the mirror today, I'm definitely grateful for life. I am. And if I look at Lee-Ann as a person, then I'm grateful for the seasons that I've managed to travail in life, especially considering our topic today. And then I think I also I feel the same way about you, about always managing to find authenticity or find yourself and operate from that place of truth. I think integrity is a big deal to me. So I want to always like what I see when I look at myself truthfully. So my what I would share with the world today is like yourself for who you really are. And not for who people say you are.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know what I want to say. I want to say to the world today, looking at myself in this mirror, I want to say the plans the Lord have for us is plans to prosper us and not to harm us. It's plans to give us hope and a future. So there's a bright future ahead if you don't let the past dictate the future. So come on now, put the past behind you and let the future be all that you are looking forward to. So there are goals that you can accomplish that is within you, that potential that is locked up deep down within you. Just let it to the fore, man, and let it out because it's within you. It is in your reach. So come on now. That is what we're saying to the world today. So we had different things saying to the world today. So yeah, I'm so happy. I don't know about you, but there's a lot of you online who says morning, morning, morning. We say morning, morning, everybody. Greetings to you all. We love and appreciate you guys tuning in here this morning. So we're gonna dig into it, Lee. We're gonna dig into it quickly, and we're gonna just take time with this topic: the highs and lows in ministry. This is a deep topic, guys. This is a topic very close to my heart. So and I have the experts here in the room.
Real experts,
Pressure's on.
Yeah, and I think what's also nice is that we have an assortment of years. If I look at the two comparative couples in ministry, RKM for like 10 years,
Yeah.
and 30
years,
30 years. Yeah, so that's almost like 2 lifetimes. And you find that there are so many common streams between their experience in ministry and your experience in ministry.
True.
Well, I'll say our because I'm on 10.
Yeah, on 10 as well.
Yeah, our time. And one of the things that I always mention on the show, especially regarding Pastor Joan, is this: she's managed to almost go through different eras. You know what I mean? She's managed to travail them and then also graduate in each step. So I always think you have a unique standpoint, and the same thing goes for Doc. You didn't get old in a place.
No,
you managed to transition yourself relevant, alive, and I mean looking cool. And that's a thing. So I think let's talk about how did you find the seasons? For me, are interesting. How did you manage to find, and what is your favorite, and what was the worst season?
Yeah, but what I first want to ask is, seeing that you're a couple here today with us, I want to ask you, how did you meet?
All right.
That would be very interesting for me.
Do you want the truth or my husband's
I
story?
want the truth.
I want both versions.
Pastor Joni, it's so funny because my husband found me on Facebook. Can you believe it?
No.
Honestly.
I didn't know that part.
No, not on Tinder. Tinder wasn't even alive back then. No, we started chatting in, I think it was September 2012. 2010. Oh my gosh. It's 12 years this year. 2010. And
With the World Cup.
yes, no, my husband was in high spirits that year.
Absolutely.
High, like he knew this
the
was the
spirit
year.
in South Africa was very high.
Oh, no. It was Pastor
So
James
he
was on
tapped
a
into
mission.
the spirit.
Knew you were going to get lucky
He
that
knew it
year.
was an exciting
Some
year
goals
for
to
him.
score.
Oh my gosh,
Wonderful.
And I was still in obviously in Dubai. I was a flight attendant there, and he quickly roped me in on Messenger, and we spoke and started dating. And here's the fun part: 25th of September we started dating. The 20th of October on his birthday, the very same year he proposed, and the 28th of November the same year. We got married. We did the things.
Wow.
And
I know,
3 months.
I had to do it quick,
3
though.
months.
I had to be very, very quick because I could see that someone else is going to snatch her up.
Yeah.
So I didn't waste any more time. So it just literally took us 3 months.
Yeah.
And then we got married. And I must also just put it out there, I arranged the whole wedding here because she was
I was
still
in
in
Dubai.
Dubai.
Yeah.
And so if anyone's looking out for somebody to
do
a
moonlight as a party
I can
planner.
do that, yes.
Wonderful, man.
Yes.
You are a romantic guy.
He is. I think
He
if
is.
you decided 2010 was your year, you'd be like, no, it's 2010.
Yeah.
Right. So that is a wonderful thing, because I can remember when you went over to Dubai. Thank you, Pastor Leon.
Yes.
You really caught that fish well.
I did.
Yeah.
Hook, line, and
Very
sinker.
nice. Very nice.
didn't stand a
very
chance.
Nice.
No, I wasn't. No, there was. He didn't even give me a chance, like
now
to
that you-
think
It's
about
not
it.
like she was going to say
Nothing.
no.
Yeah.
And now that you mentioned that it was on Facebook,
Yeah.
I didn't know that little detail there. I think you
Yeah.
could have stalked her.
Yeah.
Well,
No, you did. You
I
did.
did.
Let's
For a
and then he
short
sends
while.
me a message. And like when he saw I was single, when I wasn't in a relationship
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
longer,
You
and
waited
then he
for your
sends me a
status.
message and he's like, I didn't know you Sister Jeannie's daughter, and I'm like, oh please, please,
Whatevs.
oh please. I didn't know, but he was
Yeah.
definitely stalking me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I don't like the way that she
Definitely.
would tell the stories if she was the hero in the whole thing. I mean, you
I
must-
melted my baby.
Yes,
I
that's what I want
melted.
to talk about.
I
You were
did.
waiting for me to
I did.
contact you. So but it's been a wonderful
mutual feeling. That's
yes.
good. That's
It's been a
good.
wonderful 12
It's been
years.
good.
Yeah.
We've now
Good.
been married.
Yeah.
And no, I thank God for my wife. I
So
thank God
12
for
12
adding her.
years.
Yes.
How many
This month.
children?
2 babies.
Yes.
2
10-year-old
children.
soon,
Wow.
and,
Yes. So Joshua is 10, turning 10 now in
Yeah.
November. And Abigail is 6. She'll be turning
7 in
7 in
Feb.
February.
Wow, wonderful, man.
And a whole ministry of 10 years. So,
Show.
yeah.
10 beautiful years, 10 years with highs and lows. Yeah. And so now you can go ahead.
With the seasons, I actually
Yeah.
met them when Pastor Sherry Ann and I were just getting pregnant all the time.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
Like all the time.
All
I think
the time.
there was a couple of 4 years. There was just
Yeah,
pregnant.
yeah.
I was pregnant. She was pregnant.
Yeah.
And our last children,
Yeah.
my last child.
Yeah.
I don't know about
Yeah.
you guys.
Ooh,
but
last.
I'm out of the game. Our last children, we were actually pregnant together, and they were born
A few hours
a
even
few
apart.
hours
just-
apart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really on the
Yeah.
same day?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so we had
different, because Abby was
we
born
actually
at
got knocked up on the
11:30.
same night. If you ask
Yeah,
me.
I think we were spending too much time together, Pastor Joni, and they say when women spend too much time together,
They
that
sink.
everything sinks up. And I think we can
Wow,
pinpoint
really?
it to the same day that we had a little bit too much fun, probably.
Yeah, no, it was an adventure.
Wow,
yeah.
that's wonderful.
Yeah, so I think that also speaks about, seasons in ministry can allow you friendships and help along the way. And I think you also have very strong bonds with some friends in ministry, and they can make the seasons a bit easier to travail.
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
true.
And they can balance you and keep you in check, and also let you be out of check, and then still be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And I think those are meaningful relationships that we form over time, and I think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Important.
Your question was the seasons.
Yes.
The seasons.
What are your favorite
Different
seasons?
seasons. What
The
is the
grueling
favorite season
initial years
in
the-
ministry?
Yeah. Yeah. With us, started off ministry in 1992.
Yeah.
That is some years back.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of seasons. During that time, you didn't realize that there's toughness within the season. But why are they bringing tissues?
I know.
I'm not gonna cry.
Get ready to like
No, you're not going to
No,
cry. I
You're
don't know
not
what's
gonna
up with
cry. I'm
this.
not gonna cry.
But nevertheless, I would love to believe that we were on the breaking barrier seasons. And myself and my wife, I think we are called to break barriers.
Yes.
It's just our makeup. We're not scared to venture into the new. So when we started off church, really, guys, it was hard times and in a different way.
Yeah.
Let me define quickly. My wife could not wear pants. That was the time we started ministry.
Wow.
They had to come to church with stockings. That's when we started ministry. There was only a specific type of songs that you could sing. And that is how we started. And I was introduced to Pentecostals. And it's not that I don't like Afrikaans choruses, but it put me so far back in my memory line.
Okay.
It was just a terrible time for us that when we tried to change the music, that time. So there was a few factors. We had to break through spiritual dancing. My wife started, if you believe it or not, she was the very first spiritual dancer in our church.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So at
Believe it or not, believe it or not.
Yes. So that time spiritual dancing was not allowed. It was just you could not dance in church.
Taboo, yeah.
Now, if you remember where church started off, church started off without drums, only accordion.
Yes.
No drums, no. It was just an accordion. So we started out church during a time where music was not, certain type of music was not allowed, and then dancing was not allowed, and there was a specific dress code and a specific way of doing church. So we were rewriting everything in our communities to such an extent that the seniors of our seniors then in ministry, if you wanted to call me a senior above you in ministry, 12 years or 10 years in ministry, me versus 30 years.
Yes.
So our seniors will call you and say, you overstep your boundaries. Don't do that music. You
Yeah.
can't dance in church. So there was this whole list of stuff. So that was the season that we started our church. And I must just admit, the vulnerability of the youth. I was just 30 years old when I started the ministry. So the vulnerability of the youth, and I'm Generation X. So God gives you the makeup for the season.
Yeah, it's a fact.
I'd love to believe. So
It's a fact.
that was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
But I must just fast forward 30 years later. I would love to believe that I'm still in that season. So I challenge new stuff. So like,
Yeah.
without boasting, the first church with the LED screen.
Maybe just a little.
Maybe just a little, but it's okay. And then we imported our sound, the array system, for 3 million from France.
Yeah.
We changed the auditorium to what you see. Still groundbreaking stuff, and we're not scared for change. So seasons, I literally embrace seasons. It's very, very enjoyable for me. If you don't give me a different season, I get bored with ministry. I want to know what's God saying and what's next. Is the cloud moving or is the cloud not moving? Is this it? And I hate people putting me in a box. So the minute God moves and you place me in a box, I'm out. I'm the greatest rebel if it comes to seasons. So I
so you
really-
don't like
I
stagnation
don't
because
like
stagnation is like it's like still standing water. That smells. It stinks. So don't be that stagnant person because it stinks.
I must just say, when you go through
move it.
seasons, different seasons, you must also be ready for great critique.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because if you don't have the makeup, leave pastoring alone. Because you will be average. You'll just sit there and wait for Sunday to come, preach your sermon, go home. But you won't take people through the desert. You will not open Red Seas. That's it. You will not ask for manna. You will not ask for a rock to follow you by day. If you average, just go and serve somewhere and leave seasons
Just be a
alone.
congregant.
No, that's
you
true.
know, when I
That's
think
magic
about-
in there.
Yes, and when we started out, Doc, if I can think of that first season of ministry was exciting, but also very, I don't want to say scary, but we went through a lot in a very short space of time. Like, I remember in the first 3 months, I dealt with stuff that churches that were so much older have been dealing with. And I was like shocked to know 3 months I've got to deal with somebody that was very close to me leaving the ministry. I was like, I thought I'm going to deal with these things in 10
Later.
years' time. And I had to very quickly deal with finding a place, being put out of a place, not having money for a place, having to buy. It was just stuff that I thought we were going to grow into happened immediately. And we had to make very quick adjustments. And I think that's also sort of like the seasons of our ministry that we've been through, is that we had to make quick adjustments and had to deal with real issues very early on. And I think it also has to do with the word that I spoke on our ministry, which was acceleration. And I didn't know that as much as you will have acceleration in the good, the other side of it will also accelerate and happen to
absolutely
fall on you. So I think it was a very interesting first season that we had gone through. And I really thought, I'm not going to have challenges, not going to have problems immediately. Things are going to go smoothly for at least 3 years. We're gonna
because
build
you've been doing
strong.
church for a while
I
before.
was in the church and I was involved in ministry, but looking back then, I was shielded from a lot of what's really going on in ministry. Like,
But Pastor James, the truth is, when you were there, it's like almost like being in your parents' house.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
And you see, but you don't see.
You see it, but you don't feel.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility.
It's not your responsibility. It's only when you were dead. And there's phases. Like now you're married, now you have children. And then my kids asked me more than once back,
How did we do it?
how did you do it?
How are you still alive?
But
How did you do it?
Yes.
A lot.
And that is so valid in your life as a pastor and in ministry. Is that you must never take things for granted and don't think that what you see is what's really going
Absolutely.
on. There's so much that's going on behind the scenes.
Yes.
And so that first season of ours, I think it has set the tone of our ministry.
I
that
most
we-
probably want to ask you a question. I'm careful not to anchor this. I most probably want to ask you a question, but the producer actually said they're gonna go on an open mic. All right, not an open mic, open view on the camera, so you can just jump in anyway. But you were just married for 2 years when you started ministry.
Yeah.
That is severe.
Yeah, it
we were
is.
married for 7 years.
Yeah.
And we thought that was too early.
No.
But in age, I was 30. What was your age then?
Yeah, when I started ministry, I was 40.
40.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at
30,
least
40.
Yeah,
at
40.
least
Yes.
you're older and wiser.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that counts. That counts. Because I was
Yes.
just 30.
Yeah.
sure.
I was just 30, and it comes with such a lot of challenges. Can you most probably talk about
Yeah.
that type of challenges?
Yeah.
And you had a
yeah.
complexity because you were in different spaces,
Yes.
especially in your age categories
Absolutely.
as well.
Yeah. So Doc, for very, very long, I had a sense of starting ministry. And back then, Apostle Eddie Moodley, for years, would tell me to sit down. And I would get prophetic words. God is calling you to start. And I would run to him and say, hey, Apostle, God is calling me to start. When can I go? And he would refuse to release me. But I also made a decision that I was never going to leave the ministry without his blessing and without him knowing. And at that time, Pastor Joan, he never really told me why I had to wait. It was only when I took Pastor Sherry to his house to introduce him that this is a person that I've met,
Yeah.
and this is the person that I really feel that I'm going to marry. It was the following day that he called me and said, now you are ready. Because he had a sense in him that I would never need to start ministry alone. I needed to get- And he never told me that. And so it was 2 years after that, I shared with my wife back then to say, there is a calling upon my life. God has called me into ministry. And I've spoken to Apostle Eddie, and he agreed that I'm going to be released to start. Where are you on this journey? It was an answer to a prayer that her mother and she prayed.
Yeah,
that
awesome.
one, I'm going to get married to a pastor, and I'm going to pastor a church with him. So that transition was made a little bit easier because it was, we believe, part of the calling and the death. So I didn't have to convince my wife for ministry. I didn't have to convince her to, let's start a church. She was already there, and I could see how God had already prepared her. So the transition was easier for us. But I think more so for her, it was a bigger change. So the transition to get there was easy, but I think the change that was required in my wife was far bigger because I've been pastoring, been associate pastor for very long, in ministry for very long.
Yes.
And my wife was in a country where church is not
Yes.
is not it.
Yeah.
Or you were fresh off a flight, literally.
Yeah, literally.
Literally fresh off a flight. And how did you experience that? Because obviously, you have this composite unit, but you have different experiences because our perspectives, our lives, and our
different,
dynamics are completely different. So what was your take?
I think I must say, look, I think I enjoyed the first year of ministry from a perspective of just growing with people, learning and building. Like, your hands were actually to the plow. Like you were actually cleaning the church and fixing the tables and walking in the rows, even though there was like only 3 or 4 rows, of people, but like praying on every seat. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed building with people, building with my husband. But I think, it was very challenging. Because now you're almost forced to deal with so many different personalities of people, and because you're a small church, everybody feels that they have a say. It's like I must tell the first lady, I must tell the pastor, this is how you must sweep the floor. This is how, and especially because I'm this young
if there's
chick.
bigger,
Yes, I was the youngest
older
in the
people.
church, Pastor Joni, besides the little kids. I was the youngest one. My husband was like the older one that had all the respect, and I was like, this is how you do it. This is, and it's like, but nobody's asked you. It's so unsolicited, But I think that was my biggest challenge, navigating all of that, navigating people. But in hindsight, I needed it. I needed to now, looking back now, 10 years later, I learned so much how to deal with that. When people come to you with that, you don't have to take offense to it. You don't have to feel any certain way. It's not a personal thing. It's where they are at. It was good, and I thank God. I'll always say it for a praying mother, Pastor Joni. My mum really carried me, especially those first few years, because it was challenging. But but a lack of challenge, man. Looking back, it was good and so needed. So
I think
needed.
it's a plus, a big plus when your partner is with you in ministry and already decided within her heart that she's going to marry a pastor. In my case, the same thing. You somehow just get together and you just,
There's agreement.
Yeah.
It goes.
Yeah.
So the challenges there and then
Yes.
are exciting challenges
Yes,
because you are
absolutely.
growing and you see
Yeah.
the dividends. You know,
Yeah.
you see things are happening when you put in. So I think because I always say with first ladies, there's no manual. You know, there's just nothing. There's no book that you can go to say this is how you have to do and navigate your way through.
Yeah.
So that's why I always find it so challenging, you know, because it's always like the pastor knows that, listen, yeah, I'm in ministry, the call is on my life, and so on and so on. And he knows where he wants to go. He has the vision, he has everything. But the wife have to follow then the vision and come into alignment with the vision of the pastor.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel that some women are taken out of character. You know what I'm saying? Because it was never in their line.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And it becomes challenging. I don't know about you. When the children comes, now you have ministry.
Yes.
And you have home chores, and you have kids, and especially when the children goes to school, it's a different dynamic. And also, if you are a full-time office employer, you know what I'm saying? Employee. You know, I think it's a different challenge.
Oh, yes.
So how did you navigate through that?
Sure.
You know.
That is a big one. I was just listening to Doc. You mentioned that you were 7 years. I think it's a nice stable time because you and your partner have already formed your own. There was an authenticity because you knew who you were comfortable in who you were, and I think we share the same dynamic. It was a lot all at once. So we got married. When was it? 2009. And then we started Rock Church. So we also just married for 2 years. And then we had a child. Jessie was 5 months. We started church. And then I was pregnant again with
By
a
December.
5-month-old. By December, I was pregnant again. We ran business and founded church. It wasn't, someone didn't plant us off with a budget and a sound system. So it was an incredible amount. And I think those were capacity building years because I had to manage with the kids, I had to manage with our businesses, and I had to manage with building. And there was a lot of new
And you
things
were
at the
still
same
very
time.
young at that time.
Yes, and still very
And
young.
still very
at the-
young now.
But it was an incredible amount, and that's why I said
It's a huge challenge.
yes, it was. And then I think building supports around you, and I think that if you have a family, I've got a family of kind of pastors and believers, and that helps you because you've been doing this your whole life, and we met them as friends, and that helped because
We understood where we were.
we could balance ourselves, and we could also talk about things that we didn't know but couldn't talk about anywhere
Yes.
else.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it's useful. So I think if you're gonna push the envelope like that, then you're gonna have to be smart, resilient, and you're gonna have to be quite focused in what you want to do. And I think those are the ministry pruning years.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend
Right.
it though.
Yeah, sure.
With your situation, Pastor Leon and Sherry, navigating through the way, what was the highs that you can celebrate today and say, you know what, this was what was in our goals? And even to my husband, what's the highs that you can celebrate today and say, looking back on our journey, I can pinpoint these are the few things that we really accomplished and we made it through, irrespective of the challenges.
Yeah.
Oh, my baby. There's so much to that.
there's so, yes,
Oh.
and for me, Pastor Joan, I'd like to answer that in from two perspectives. One is because ministry has to do with people. There are some highs as it relates to people that I want to just talk about quickly. One is when you begin to see somebody coming into ministry and their life is at a certain point.
Right.
And you can actually see how their lives have been changed
Right.
because of how you decided to obey God, you know, in the and to speak into their lives. So I think
Yeah,
one of the
you're
highs
right.
in ministry for me
Absolutely.
is to see how people transition.
Right.
And for me that's
It's
that-
humbling.
Wonderful.
It's very
Wonderful.
humbling.
and I think,
Yes,
you know, and there's people who came into our church, I'll never forget. A guy came into our ministry with a divorce letter that he received from an attorney and from a lawyer rather. Took him in the corner, prayed with him. He wasn't saved at the time. Gave his heart to the Lord that day. And a few years later, the wife called me and she cried and she said, I never thought I'll get to the point where I can see my husband pushing a trolley in the shopping mall with me.
Wow.
Now, for me, that's a high.
Yes.
Absolutely
The
so.
lives that are changed and the
Yes,
impact in people's
yes.
lives. But then I think also on the other side, from a ministry, let's say non-people perspective, I think a high for me was really when we moved into our building where we are right now.
Wonderful.
After renting for some time, dealing with people on your back, and I think, you know, that was a huge step. That
Yes.
in the
Yes, it
third
is.
year of our ministry, we acquired a property. In the fifth year, we acquired a second property. And I think that was a huge achievement, I think, for myself, knowing
Wonderful.
how we struggled
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
how we were put out. Our doors were locked. I came one Saturday afternoon, Sunday was church, and then the doors were locked.
Wow.
And I went to the landlords and they said, well, I'm not opening the doors until you give me 55,000 rand. And, you know, knowing where we were and where we are now, for me, that's been quite an achievement when it comes to that. So I think both on the people side and on the, I think, non-people
Yes,
achievement.
yes, yes.
I think the property one is a huge high for me, and then
Absolutely,
the
I would
impact
agree with
in the
you
lives
there.
of people.
Yeah.
I don't know for
You don't
but-
have to pack up
Yes.
the sound system, and
Yes.
that's an
my
exercise
gosh.
on its own, right?
Pastor Joan, yeah, those were crazy years. But I think it built so much faith up in us as well. We literally were like, it was crazy faith. We spoke to things. We spoke to like locks on doors and stuff.
Yes.
You know, you will be opened in the name of Jesus. But I think for me, and I will say this over and over, the high for me in ministry is people. And just seeing their lives transformed by you know, this book of life that we live by, you know, and that it's one thing to preach, you know, but it's
Right.
another thing to experience the
Right.
change and to see that faith manifested, and actually, you know, the things that you speak or pray for, people being healed from sicknesses, divorces and marriages being restored, and families coming back together, and it will forever be the most humbling thing for me in ministry. And you know, I'm like I say, it humbles me to the point where I'm like, Lord, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to see this year in and year out. And it's experiences that nobody can take from you. Like nobody can come to me and say tithing doesn't work.
Right.
Or that anointing someone with oil when they are sick doesn't. Nobody can take that away from me. And I think we're so privileged as, you know, as pastors, because we get to see that one-on-one firsthand. And no government head, nobody can take that away from you. It is a fact. I've seen it, and I've got no reason to doubt that God's not going to do it tomorrow should that need arise again. So that is the highest, and it just builds such faith in you, like just on another level. On
it's a
another
fact,
level. It's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over to you.
Oh, yeah. I'm enjoying this so much. It's like we're sitting in a lounge somewhere and I'm
yes.
listening to you. It's very encouraging to hear the two of you discussing ministry and so on. I must just admit, when God called Moses, he refused in the beginning, and the Lord trapped him with a fiery bush mountain on the mountain, and then he went there with just a staff. The thing about God doesn't give you the big picture.
Yeah, it's true.
And sometimes I feel trapped by that, to be honest.
But don't
with
you think if he
Yeah.
gives you the big
You'll
picture,
say
you will
no,
run away?
no,
You
I'm
will
not
say,
doing
yeah,
it.
but that's exactly the question. So if you ask me 30 years down the line, will you do it again?
Yeah.
I have my doubts.
Yeah.
Because for what I know, I'm just
Yes,
coming
yes.
from an
Yes.
honest
yeah,
opinion.
so
Yeah.
you're right.
It's like, I'm not sure
Yeah.
if I will do it again.
Yeah.
The difference is simply this. I was traveling with Dr. Chris Ludwig. We traveled together for many, many years. So one day, we shared the same hotel and the two single beds. And he struck off by saying, "Oh, how I admire your age." and then he paused. He said, "I would love to be as young as you are, but with my own brain."
Oh, wow.
Oh, with his age brain,
With
his
Yeah.
mature
the
brain.
wisdom.
You see,
Yeah.
The wisdom and
this,
the
you
maturity.
see, this comes with the package.
Yeah.
And that's where you can really be some form of encouragement to so many out there. That you started off a church with 8 people on the stoop.
Yeah.
You moved to a classroom in Kliptown.
Yeah.
You build that and you purchase a land in Extension 9. You move into a tent.
Yeah.
And then you build a cash 1,000 seater in its
Yes.
time. Apartheid time.
Yeah.
Just out
Yeah.
of apartheid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we built it as money as were allowed. But I must also just add, my wife's old pension went in there.
Yeah.
So there was my business money went in there.
Yeah.
It's like, and it's money that you cannot recoup later.
Yes,
you can't.
you
It's-
can't.
it's-
You can't.
But
It's not an investment
It's-
like that's paying out.
it's a different type.
It's a
that
different
of-
type
It's
of
a heavenly
investment.
seed.
Yeah, it's a heavenly seed,
Yes.
but you know it will come back.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
So when you look at that, and he said, with my, let me use your word, your age brain, it's like there's one thing that stands out for 30 years in ministry, is that sometimes your gift takes you where your character can't keep you. And that is the character's time,
Yeah.
the character building time. The tough times, the hard times, the sweeping times,
Yeah.
the difficult
Yeah.
times, that's the character times. And now, this is the disadvantage for people that jumps the queue. They don't have the privilege of building character.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when the reality strikes and tough
Yeah.
times strike,
Yeah.
they buckle under the
Yeah.
pressure. Because it's God's system of taking you into the desert.
Yes.
It's God's system to give you a cloud and fire and a rock and a staff and a Red Sea
Yeah.
and moaning people and Aaron and a mountain
Yes.
and tablets and a golden
manna.
cow.
Yeah.
And then when you think it's done, then your leader die. Then Joshua steps
Yes.
up.
Then there's more.
And then
Yeah.
there's more to come.
Sure.
And then there's the Jordan River.
Yeah.
And then then the people expect you to act like Moses. And
Yeah.
then you have to walk in ankle and then knee deep. And then the river only opens on hip
Yeah.
height.
Sure.
And Moses just say warara warara with a staff and stuff, fireworks happen. So there's a level of expectation.
Yes.
And so at the end of the day, for ministry also, I do have regrets. I have a lot of regrets.
Yeah.
I must just admit.
Wow.
But what's the highs?
Yeah, can I just give my regrets first,
Yeah.
if you don't mind?
But
Yeah,
the
because
lows.
Yeah, I know
the
there's a
lows are
lows, but I
important.
wanna share the regrets.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
The
Regrets are
regrets
very
is gonna help
important.
me.
Yeah, it's- yeah.
I
Okay.
tell you why.
And it's going to help someone
it's
else.
gonna help
and-
It's gonna
someone
help
else.
someone else. Yeah.
It's the balance,
Yes.
Yeah.
the balance of ministry.
And the reality.
The balance of ministry is so important because you think more hours means more people.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not,
it's not true.
That's not the answer.
Yeah.
And
More hours
sacrifice.
doesn't mean more people. So I gave more hours
Yes.
in many ways, but it doesn't amount to more people
Yeah.
or to greater spirituality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not the key
Yeah.
for it. But there is a balance. There's a balance between spirituality and structure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So God lives in a structured world.
Yeah.
The sun comes up, the sun goes down.
Yeah.
The sea stays there, and it's a
Order.
structured world. There's order.
Yeah.
But the balance sometimes. Now my balance was not. I was not wrong in ministry. I would love to believe,
All right.
because the fruit is there for the 30 years.
Right.
Where I think I could have better was
Yeah.
in family life.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I didn't balance well.
Yeah.
So my wife worked at that point in time, and then she started helping me at a later stage in ministry. But there was a time that I thought she solely had the responsibility of raising the kids.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you
And-
did. You did have it.
There was,
Yeah.
but it was just a, it's a ignorant expectation.
Yeah. It's not.
You
it's
just
not
think
the,
it's
not the
supposed to
right.
be. It's not
it's
supposed
It's
to
not
not.
supposed
It's
to
not
be.
supposed
No,
to
it
be
is
like
true.
that. It
Yeah.
takes two to tango,
Yeah.
right?
And you
Yeah.
miss out on a lot of upbringing with your
Yes.
kids.
It's a
Yes.
fact.
So when you were standing there and you look at your son and you say, "Daddy loves you," and you gave
Yeah.
him that talk, you know how important that is.
Yeah, it's true.
But I must just admit, when we started ministry, you know, there was no cell phones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
and there
Yeah.
was 2 phones in my office, and the one phone was for my family.
Yeah.
That's the number,
Yeah.
a dedicated number.
Yeah.
So they could
Well
call
done.
me anytime into the office, even if I was in a
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, he actually
I don't know
made
if-
that
I made that a rule.
a rule.
Yeah. No, you did good there, Pastor John.
Yes.
Well done.
That you can call me anytime. It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
It's
No, that
like
was-
if
that
I
was a
want
good
you,
move.
I want
Yes.
you.
Yes. Yes.
But it was also by default. It was a
Yeah.
safety aspect,
Yes.
Yeah.
you know, security
Yes.
aspect.
Yeah.
But the only person that really used that line well was Jesse.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. He will just call in there for no reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's up,
So
Dad?
you're in the middle of a
What you
meeting.
doing?
Okay, can I phone you just now?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big deal there, Doc. And I'll
Yes.
say why, because, we can speak about the great things that make ministry tick for us. But the truth is that our ability to navigate those hard times
Yeah.
is what allows us to feel the good
Yeah.
times. And if we
Yes.
don't have an understanding for it or an appreciation for it, then we kind of don't grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of stay stuck.
You need that.
Yes.
If I may, there's another regret. The one most probably, I will put it in a package. If I could advise younger pastors, is to strike a balance between ministry and family.
Right.
You should strike a
Absolutely.
good
You
balance.
should be giving us an amen right now
Absolutely.
there,
Yeah.
Pastor Sherry.
Amen.
Because you know
So
what?
important.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
if you don't strike that balance, now you're talking about highs and lows.
Yeah.
A high for me is that my kids are not on drugs.
Yes.
Yes, thank you,
That's
Jesus.
Yeah.
Praise
A
God.
high for me is that
Yes.
I know where they are with
Yes.
their families.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is immeasurable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
For ministry.
Priceless.
Yeah.
For ministry, that's a beautiful
Yeah,
gift. And
absolutely
I'm
so.
not looking down
On any other.
on any other
Yeah.
minister
Yeah, no.
out there.
Yes.
But I tell you, it's just a blessing
Yes.
to know that for me that's a high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's
Yeah.
a big deal.
The-
And it
the
lends
other
to your
regret-
character as well.
Yeah. And the other regret for me, I have a few. My wife wants to just to go through a lot. But other regret is my wife helped me to help her. Now,
Yeah.
let me define.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me
going to be
define.
good. I'm waiting.
You see, when you start out ministry, you solely think the call is on you and not on your wife.
Yeah.
But for her to raise the kids is an equal call.
Yeah.
For her to take the baby out while you preach is
Yeah.
an equal call.
Yeah.
For her to have the meal ready after the preaching is an
Yeah.
It's
equal call.
Yes.
That's not the issue. The issue was she left her job. She was in a prime job working for a prime company in a prime position with a prime salary. Walking away from that to help us, taking all that pension, drop it into ministry
Yeah.
with unselfishly, up till today, unselfishly just give.
Yeah.
Where I have a regret is to leave her too long in the shadows. That's a
Sure.
huge regret.
Wow.
Because she's got a gift and a talent, and she's equally pastoring. Because if you look at pastoring in a call church, pastoring in a call church works differently than
Yeah.
pastoring in a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Independent
in
church.
independent church.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you must also
That's
be
so
very
true.
careful that when you're an independent pastor and you're from a call system,
Yes. You can
that you
fall
want
into
to call
that.
the
Yeah.
call system into an independent
Yes, yes,
system.
yes, yes,
It's not
yes.
the same.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not the same.
Yes.
A call system works so we call the pastor and the wife is not even called the first lady.
Yeah.
She must carry the babies out
Yeah.
in the
Yes.
church
Yeah.
of Christ, and
Yeah.
she must be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Make the
Yeah.
tea and
Yeah.
coffee.
Make the
Yeah.
tea and coffee.
When
That's
the-
your place.
Yeah.
Even if she's called.
Yeah.
That's the given
Yeah.
the gospel truth. So sometimes when you look at call churches and self-planted churches or independent churches, as we call it, you have the tendency to look at your previous mentors, and how churches are used to be in the past versus independent.
Yeah.
So here's your wife, equally called, and you run, and the gap moves.
Yeah.
Yeah. You create
Sure.
the gap.
Yes.
The gap moves.
Yeah.
But you don't realize it. You don't realize it. Till one day, and this is the gospel truth, till one day people people will introduce us somewhere. I didn't know the people. We were with other people, and they said, oh, this is so and so, and this is his wife. She
pastor's
paused.
wife.
The
The wife.
pastor's wife.
Yeah.
She paused.
Yeah.
I have no name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
you
some
know,
of them makes it
You
look.
don't
gosh.
exist.
Some of them
Yeah,
makes it
yeah.
sound fancy.
Yes,
His
yes. His
beautiful
wife.
wife.
Always,
Yeah.
you're always the beautiful wife.
No, yeah, you don't.
You're always the beautiful wife.
Never did I think there'll come a day when we take offense.
Yeah.
You're beautiful.
You can't clap on studio. Sorry for that.
It's like, I know, it's not your place. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
The truth is, I left it for too long in the shadows. And if I could give advice to any younger pastor, is that take your wife with you.
Yeah, grow together.
Grow
Yes.
together, do
Yeah.
stuff together.
Absolutely.
And there are times that you think, now this is the long and the short, you think she can't handle
Yeah.
the pressure of the ministry because you want to protect her.
Yes.
But the truth is, even though you're not sharing the pressure of the ministry, she sees it
Yeah.
in you.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
so.
And she feels it in you.
So
Yeah.
don't
Yes.
who's fooling who? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a song like that? It
Yeah.
sounds like
Yeah.
is there a
Yeah,
song
it
like
is.
that?
Who's fooling who?
Oh, is it that? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was
Yeah.
that's some of the
That's
regrets.
true,
Otherwise, most probably a highlight for me was I always had a city church in mind.
Yeah.
I get very frustrated with one-track-minded stuff.
Yes.
I want challenges.
Yeah.
A highlight for us was when we moved into this property in
Yeah.
2004.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah. And
The
that
highlight.
was
So good.
that was
A
a
big
highlight
day.
for
Yes,
us.
yeah.
Because now we could do city ministry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It takes a different
Yeah.
thinker.
Yeah.
Yeah, a different
if-
makeup too.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you go back,
Different
there was no
attitude.
churches like that because churches was just a community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
we
it is.
kind of were breaking out of the mold.
Yeah,
and say,
yeah.
Okay, let's do church
Yes.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
and it is with every big decision, you also get those big lessons. Like I remember, I don't know if you want to talk about it, the fact that you had transport
Yeah,
that
the
you had
buses,
to change.
yeah.
And us on a minor level, we also had transport
Yeah.
to our little rec center. And it started creating a weird dynamic in church.
Yeah.
And then when we stopped that, we also had our own, a lesson.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, just
Yeah.
as part of changing and shaping and just allow the process to
Yes.
take you somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe my husband must share on that.
You know,
with
you know what I like about this whole thing? When you start out in ministry, the truth is you don't know who you are.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
you don't.
That is the truth.
If a person
It is
goes-
true.
The truth is
No, you must
don't,
admit
Yeah,
it.
you
you
must
don't know
admit
who you
you
are.
don't
True.
know.
The Lord
Yeah.
shaped you
Oh,
in
yes.
what He wants you to be.
Absolutely
That's it.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when they put Moses in that basket,
Yeah, you didn't know.
You
he
didn't
didn't
know.
know he's going to lead
Yeah.
people out.
Yeah.
No, it didn't.
He
And
was here in comfort in
Sure.
Pharaoh's
Yeah.
palace,
Yeah.
and it was just
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
A-class education, and everything was just
He didn't
working
know.
for them.
didn't
You
know.
don't know.
Yes.
You
so,
don't.
So the
But he didn't know for very long who he was, who he would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
didn't know. I mean,
Yes.
I think it was years.
Yeah.
Hey?
Yeah, but look,
And
they
he
lived
didn't
much
know
longer.
because he was in a different
Yeah, time zone.
country. He
Yes.
was
Yeah.
in a different
Yeah.
Mm.
But
thing.
I don't want to lose
Yeah.
my line.
Yeah.
My brain is structured in a different way. I'm very calculated in what I do. So in the sense of you only find yourself later. It's like you go on in ministry, and it's only later that I realize, starting the ministry in '92, only in 2004 I realized I like City Church.
Look at that. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The
Yes.
journey's long.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it takes a makeup
Yeah.
to run City Church.
Yes.
Pastor Lee wants me to most probably share about the buses and so on. So when the Lord shapes you, and sometimes younger pastors don't, when you're longer in ministry, don't realize that you are shaped already.
Yes.
So I'm in comfort zone.
Yeah.
I'm in my skin.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like I like writing books. I love to approach something academically. I like thinking. That's why. Let me just say, I also love pastoring.
Yes.
Now, I'm very deliberate by saying, I want to be a pastor and not an apostle.
Thank you.
Now, I'm very deliberate. Can I tell you
I
why?
do
Yeah.
say thank you there, Pastor Leon.
No, I don't want to be apostle, even if
Yeah.
anyone wants to
Thank
bestow
you.
it on me.
Yes.
I think they dilute
Yes.
the call.
Yes.
The apostle. There's nothing wrong with the call of
Yeah.
being an apostle, but I
Yeah.
think they dilute the call
Yes,
of the
true.
apostleship.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's a very
They minimize it.
heavy,
Yeah.
heavy function in the
Yeah.
kingdom of
It
God.
It is.
Sure.
But if you have to give me a choice today, I will take pastoring. Come and tell you why.
Absolutely.
I love the idea of shepherding.
Yes.
Oh,
It brings joy to me.
Yes.
I love the
beautiful.
idea of pausing in the foyers and ask somebody how you doing,
yes.
how you keeping, stay focused,
Yeah.
don't lose track. I notice you look a little bit
Yeah.
down today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the idea of preaching and look at the floor and see that they are in a demoralized stage based on COVID.
yes.
And I like the idea of putting things
Yeah.
together and say, okay, let's talk about digital church. And then I said,
Yeah.
okay, let's talk a little about how can we get out
Yeah.
of this situation
Yeah.
and what's the future telling us. So, in essence, if you have to ask me, it's only now that I settle in what I want to do. The sad part is you're older,
Yeah.
but it's only.
Yeah.
It seems like when you really realize who you are when you're older,
Yeah.
and then it's almost like, why didn't I do this?
Yeah,
Why
earlier?
didn't I figure this out?
But the truth is, everybody's going to walk their journey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
very
is true,
true.
yeah.
Pick it up at some point.
Absolutely.
So, I enjoy pastoring. I enjoy this, and
Yeah.
and most probably a long thesis approach towards it. But we had 12 buses, and we could not afford the buses. That was the truth. If I could have
Sure.
keep the buses, I
Yeah,
would
you would
would
Yeah.
have, but I could not. You must not forget we have a disadvantage towards we don't have old money
Yes.
like
Yeah.
like
Yes,
white
you're
Yeah.
building.
pastors.
Yeah, you're building.
So white pastors say we are the same. We're not the
Yeah.
same. We'll never be the same. Come, I explain to you why.
And it's not the color of our
not
skin, though.
that.
Yeah, it's like the people that serves with them. They own the companies where we are now. Every company around here is owned by a white person.
Sure.
I'm the only person of color and another person here with trucking on the other side. The rest, blue chip companies. Now, there's the unfairness. So in your church, there's no people with this type of buildings that sits on the floor like that sits on that floor because they will never believe in black leadership.
Yeah.
You better make peace with that.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
they don't take you as a leader. You can be as eloquent as T.D. Jakes.
Yeah.
And you might say there's white people in T.D. Jakes, but it's only Hispanic people that looks white. It's not white people. They don't believe in you. That's the
that's
long
a
and the
fact,
short. So we have this disadvantage. So we could not afford the buses. And we had to let go of the buses. Some people, for where the people were traveling from, were celebrating that. But I didn't see it as a loss.
Yeah.
For me, they were still in the kingdom of God. And
Yes,
that's the
yes,
power.
yes,
That's
yes,
important.
yes.
That's the advantage. Through the lenses of other people, you look like a loser.
Yes.
But the truth is, you were growing into a
Yeah.
city church
Yeah.
in what God wants you to be.
Yeah.
And I'm so comfortable in that space.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
good. I think
Wonderful.
that, we've got so many different experiences if
Yeah.
I can just come in there because, and that's what I love about God and ministry is that even though God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and He's God and He's constant, the stuff around Him is so diverse, which is what I'm appreciating. And I mean, I'm listening to so much of what you're sharing, Doc, and I'm thinking the difference in our experiences, and yet there's other stuff that we have also and are also dealing with. For example, you say that, Doc, as you started out in ministry, there was this gap between yourself and, as the pastor and where Pastor Joan was. I think with us, when we started out, I made it clear from the onset, this is not the pastor's, she's my wife. This is Leon's wife, but this is not the pastor's wife. This is Pastor Sherry, and she's the pastor with me in this church. In fact, I was laughing when I saw something, and I saw my friend Pastor Marcos on here, and he was ministering, I think, in the Eastern Cape, and he said, if you're going to call her the pastor's wife, then you must call me the pastor's husband. I think that was just so funny. But I'm just saying that
Nice
for
one.
us, that for us
is a
wasn't
good one.
a challenge. It was never
Yeah.
a challenge. The other thing, for example, the balance with family. I feel even right now, I think ministry didn't keep me away from my family. My job did.
Yeah.
My daytime job at a company that I worked at. So it wasn't ministry that caused an imbalance. It was my work.
Yeah.
And when I left Investec and ventured on my own, started my own, but now all of a sudden I've got far more time to spend with the kids
Yeah.
and still do ministry. So I think the the family life and that balance, I think, was a challenge that I don't think it's a challenge for us. But what I love about this is that we can now allow people to look into ministry, and see some of the real things that's going on. Like, I mean, the stuff that you've been sharing now, because people just look on the outside and why is he stopping the buses? But they don't know it's unaffordable because I'm using my own money. And whilst we're sharing so many different things, look at one common denominator here. Every pastor who leaves their job, I've come to learn, takes their pension money and puts it in the church.
Yes,
It happened with me as well.
yes.
Now the thing, Pastor Joan, is people see stuff and
Yeah.
they don't really know
Yes.
what's going
Mechanics
on.
of it,
Yes.
yeah.
We bought a second property, went into a deal in Annandale, and I had to, during COVID, make the hard decision to give that building up because it was eating into my children's school fees.
Wow.
Literally, it was eating into food on the table.
Yeah.
And so people don't see that. They just
Yeah.
see,
The church
no, the
closed.
church is...
Yeah, it's flourishing.
yes,
we
and now
see,
it's growing.
yeah.
But they don't really, they're not let
They see
in,
the
and that's why-
glory. They don't know the
yes,
story.
yes. And that's why I appreciate this, just because people must understand there is, and I think for me,
real
the theme of,
challenges.
there's more to what's going on
Than what you see, yeah.
So if Doc stops the buses,
Yeah.
don't just think he's just stopping the bus, and he doesn't want people from the other areas to be and to come to church.
Yeah.
There's always more to
Yeah.
it. And in our experiences in ministry, if I think of some of those, you're talking about regrets, and I know Pastor John probably didn't want us to go there, but I think I had started out the ministry building it on people,
Yeah.
because I look to people for everything. And I was born again, pastor, and my focus was more on people must do this and people must do that. When I actually had to shift that and say, one, my focus must be on God, and my focus must be on getting God to help me through and getting the people, but God must use the people to help me, and not just me wanting the people. And so I, very early on, went through a number of disappointments because of my level of expectations that I had from people. So I learned very early on in ministry that God is my source,
Yeah.
and He'll use the people. I must not make the people my source, and use God. So, that was a very hard lesson for me to learn. And I was thinking on this thing of highs and lows, and I'm going to end here in a minute around this for myself. When I looked at Jesus, there's only two instances, three, but two literal instances recorded of when Jesus wept. One was over the death of Lazarus, I think
yeah.
John 11,
Yeah.
and the other one was Luke 19, I think it is, from 40 or 44 onwards, when he looked at Jerusalem. And when I think about Jesus and the lows that he had in his life, was when there was a separation and a cutting off of somebody that was close to him. And, I'm thinking of talking about the lows as a pastor. I think one of the lows
Yeah.
that I've experienced and that pastors is when there's separation
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
people, when people
Yeah.
leave your
Yeah,
ministry.
yeah.
I don't think people really understand
Yeah, it's a fact, eh?
what it
Heartbreaking.
does to you as a
Yeah.
pastor. Whether they've left for the right or the wrong reasons, it really affects you.
No, but definitely
Yes,
does.
yeah. And the other one, when he looked at Jerusalem and he cried, and then he wept, and he said, because you don't know your day of visitation. If you had only known, and if you could only see. And I think that's the other thing that really affects me, is that when people cannot see the big picture, and people cannot see what is in them, why they are there, what the ministry is trying to do, what the ministry is trying to achieve through them, when they miss their calling and their destiny and what God has called them for.
There's an emptiness.
There's
yeah,
an emptiness
because-
as a pastor.
Yeah,
that
the
you
link
really
is
feel.
gone.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that is a mouthful, and I so much want to lash on that. As sometimes people don't understand when that gifting is